No more standing by him. Anna Duggar finally leaves Josh. When the whispers first began, no one truly believed it would ever come to this. For years, Anna Duggar had been defined in the public eye by her unyielding loyalty to her husband, Josh Duggar, even as his crimes, his scandals, and his prison sentence brought the family name into one of its darkest chapters. Through tearful interviews, courtroom appearances, and the glare of constant media coverage, Anna seemed to stand immovably by his side. But now, in a turn that many thought was impossible, Anna Duggar has made the most shocking decision of her life. She has walked away from Josh, finally breaking the chain of silence and standing on her own, leaving behind not only her troubled marriage, but also the narrative that had kept her tied to him for so long. For the first time since the world learned of Josh's offenses, Anna is choosing herself and her children over the man she once vowed to love through every storm. The news has sent shockwaves rippling through both the Duggar family and the fan community. For nearly 2 decades, the Duggars built their public brand on the image of a tightly knit family rooted in faith, obedience, and tradition. At the center of this narrative, women like Anna were expected to remain loyal wives, dedicated mothers, and spiritual anchors even when the men faltered. And Anna, more than almost anyone, embodied that expectation. When Josh's darkest actions were exposed, she sat silently in the courtroom, clasping her hands, her face pale but her voice unwavering. When critics demanded to know why she would not leave him, she responded with appeals to forgiveness, faith, and her duty as a wife. But all the while, a storm was building inside her, one that no amount of scripture or public expectation could hold back forever. Insiders close to Anna describe months of quiet tension, moments where her resolve began to crack under the weight of reality. The life she had envisioned when she first married Josh had long ago unraveled into endless nights of tears, visits to prison, and the burden of raising 7 children largely on her own. Friends say she would sometimes confide her exhaustion in whispers, torn between her loyalty to her vows and the overwhelming sense that she was slowly losing herself. It was not only about the shame of what Josh had done. It was about the crushing weight of carrying that shame for him while still trying to shield her children from the truth of who their father had become. The decision to leave did not happen overnight. Sources say Anna wrestled with it for months, turning to prayer, to close friends, and to counseling she initially sought in secret. For years, she had lived in the shadow of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar's influence, told that divorce was not only forbidden but unthinkable. The Duggar world was built on the ideal of lifelong marriage, the belief that women must submit and endure no matter the cost. To walk away was to defy everything she had been taught since she entered the family, and yet slowly the whispers in her heart became louder, until she could no longer ignore them. Her children, her sanity, and her very sense of self were at stake. Finally, in what she has privately described as both the hardest and the most liberating moment of her life, Anna chose to break free. The reaction within the Duggar household has been deeply divided. Some siblings, particularly those who have distanced themselves from Jim Bob's control in recent years, have quietly voiced their support for Anna's decision. Jill Duggar, who has long spoken openly about her own break from the family system, is said to have offered Anna a shoulder to lean on. Jinger, who now lives far from Arkansas and has embraced a new chapter of her life, reportedly encouraged Anna to put her children first and reject the guilt that has bound her for so long. But others have not been as kind. Jim Bob, who once arranged Anna and Josh's courtship and oversaw their marriage, is said to be deeply angered and disappointed. For him, Anna's choice is not only a personal betrayal, but also a direct challenge to the values he has spent decades preaching. Michelle, ever the peacemaker, has reportedly wept openly over the news, torn between her loyalty to her son and her compassion for Anna. For years, Michelle had been one of Anna's closest confidants, often encouraging her to endure and forgive. Now, she finds herself powerless as Anna steps into independence, no longer willing to play the role expected of her. The Duggar siblings, caught between their father's rigid stance and their own private sympathies, have been pulled into yet another rift, further fracturing a family already divided by scandals and disagreements. The public, meanwhile, has responded with a mix of relief, shock, and fierce debate. For critics of the Duggars, Anna's departure feels long overdue, a long-awaited act of self-preservation that should have happened years ago. Social media has been flooded with supportive messages, praising her courage and offering prayers for her children. Finally, one fan wrote, "Anna is free from the prison Josh created for her." Others, particularly those still devoted to the Duggar family's religious message, have expressed sadness, insisting that marriage vows must never be broken, no matter the circumstances. The conversation has ignited a broader debate about the role of women in conservative Christian communities, the pressures they face, and the cost of unquestioning submission. For Anna herself, the days since the decision have been a whirlwind. Sources say she has moved into a new home with her children, away from the Duggar compound, determined to create a life defined not by shame but by healing. She has reportedly begun legal proceedings to end the marriage formally, though such steps are fraught with complications given the Duggar family's reach and Josh's ongoing legal status. Her focus, however, is not on the logistics of divorce, but on the emotional work of rebuilding herself and protecting her children. Those who have seen her in recent weeks describe a woman both fragile and fierce, often exhausted but carrying herself with a newfound strength. For the first time in years, they say, she seems to have a spark of hope in her eyes. What this means for the larger Duggar family remains uncertain. The Duggars have weathered scandals before, but Anna's departure represents something different. It is not an outsider criticizing them or a rebellious daughter leaving their traditions. It is a daughter-in-law, once the very model of compliance, choosing to defy the core teaching of their faith system. If Anna can leave, if Anna can say, "No more," what does that mean for the others who still feel trapped by expectations and fear? Already, whispers suggest that Anna's choice may inspire other women in similar situations, both within the extended Duggar circle and among their fans, to reconsider what faith and marriage truly demand. Josh, of course, remains behind bars, serving his sentence, isolated from the unfolding drama except through letters and monitored phone calls. Whether he fully grasps the permanence of Anna's decision is unclear. Some say he continues to believe she will return, that her loyalty is unshakable even now. But those closest to Anna insist otherwise. This time, they say, the line has been drawn. She will not go back. She cannot. The cost has been too high, the wounds too deep, the years of silence too suffocating. For Anna, this is not only the end of a marriage, it is the beginning of a new life. The symbolism of her choice cannot be ignored. For years, Anna Duggar was held up as the picture of unwavering devotion, a woman who embodied everything the Duggar brand claimed to be about. Now, she is something else entirely. She is the woman who finally said enough. She is the mother who chose her children's future over her husband's sins. She is the voice that may open the door for countless others who have been told to stay silent, to endure, to obey. Whether the Duggar empire survives this latest shock remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: Anna's story will no longer be written by Josh or by Jim Bob. For the first time in her adult life, Anna Duggar is holding the pen herself. As the days turn into weeks and the story continues to unfold, the world watches closely. The headlines will continue, the debates will rage, and the Duggar family will grapple with yet another fracture in their carefully curated image. But somewhere, behind the noise, Anna sits quietly with her children, holding them close, dreaming of a life that is finally her own. The journey ahead will not be easy, but it will be hers to walk. And for a woman who has spent so long standing by a man who only brought her pain, that alone is a victory worth celebrating. Thanks for watching.